And welcome back to Janky AF and Year of the Aerostar, episode number 128. Well, what a momentous occasion here. We've caught a nice little groove, and we're going to do a bunch of these episodes. I record on this little Tascam DR10L. It's not it's like a wedding thing. It's all right. I hope the sounds all right to you folks at home. And I needed AAA batteries, so I was searching ever, and red and white is really the theme, as we'll see in the van later today. I was looking everywhere for AAA battery. It's late at night. My sweetheart's asleep. I didn't want to interrupt her, but I went in there, poked around the closet, went all the way outside, out into my shop, if you've seen on my Janky life, looking everywhere for these batteries. I know I got some somewhere. It's got to be somewhere. Tearing apart everything, my Janky life as it is. And I can't find them, and when you're in the zone, you want to record, you really want to go for it, because you got the spirit and the momentum, the energy. So I come up here to check my phone to see if the gas station down the street, which is a little bit of a drive, but it's not too bad, is still open. And lo and behold, what do I see sitting on the table is a set of these great, Sunbeam AAA batteries, just a few left. And they're ideal for low drain devices. A toilet kind of seems like a low drain device. I digress. So the whole thing is, sometimes you go all over the place looking for something, and sure enough, you find it right under your nose, right in your backyard, so to speak, and right in front of you. And I think that's a good sort of little segue or analogy or metaphor for this episode today. Now I'm trying to do these as like evergreen content or episodes. I hate that word, evergreen, programs. So I'll try not to be too, long-winded here. But today on the program, we celebrate the fact that Janky AF has just gone over 1,000 subscribers. And I've already gotten some comments. And it was just a very serendipitous thing. I always say with these Aerostars, usually it kind of when it rains and it pours. When something happens, there's serendipity that carries over, and you just get these little moments. And now, the subscriber count on Janky AF fluctuates, so I'm sure at some point it will dip back down under 1,000. And so I'm not going to do any sort of major public posts or announcements or do a celebratory video or anything like that. But I realize this is a small number, but for me this is a really big number, because I've always wanted to be able to, quote unquote monetize the channel, or just say I'm it was just one of those things you watch all these YouTubers, how to get your first 1,000 subscribers in 3 weeks or whatever, and I've been at this for, many years. And it feels really good, but it's just a number, and it's not about the money, or it's not about the number of subscribers. We're just here to basically celebrate the Ford Aerostar at this point. Now, we have shot more car reviews and stuff. We still do that, but they take a lot of time to edit. And they take a lot of time to shoot, and Beef Janky's just got a busy schedule, So it's a lot of irons in the fire here, and we're trying to, pay off credit card debt, basically. So you don't always have the time to, sometimes you got to go, sling the paintbrush around for a little bit to try to, afford all your Ford Aerostars. Now, I've made this bed for myself. I have 8 cars right now, which is insane for a person of my means, but I got a little carried away with the whole being a YouTuber thing. And so here we are. Anyways, if this is your first episode, I promise we'll talk about Ford Aerostars. So the metaphor is, this whole time, you have all these ambitions and things you're striving for, and it's easy to be envious, and admiration slips into envy very quickly. There's a weird sort of toxic relationship between those two things, because a lot of people I admire, you're like, man, I wish I could, whatever. So the metaphor I'm making with the batteries is this whole time I really have everything I need, and you got to remind yourself that sometime, because today I worked a nice long day today, and I popped open YouTube, as I do very often, just to put something on, as I was painting a window in a bathroom. And lo and behold, I swear I did not mean to do this, but the episode 127 of Year of the Aerostar was premiering today, the day of the evening that I'm shooting this. And so I was like, well, I'll listen to myself talk about Ford Aerostars. I'm pretty used to doing that. And there was a couple people in the chat, and I want to shout you out, but I also want to respect everyone's privacy. So you know who you are. So we had a nice little chat, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like there's actually people watching the premiere. And I kind of get to chat with them in real time in the chat. And I guess that's how people figured out that, because I didn't really announce it, unless people are just checking my subscriber count. But I already had a couple people say like, oh, like congratulations and stuff. So maybe the live chat got replayed when the people watched it after it premiered. That's what I'm guessing. I'm not very good at technology. Anywho, so that was the first time I've done that, and I never really knew if people were watching right when it premiered. So maybe I'll start to do that a little bit more often and actually jump in the chat and like chat with people if anyone's watching. And if I can do it, I always try to go live at 5, and obviously it's not live, but it's live. But it's the first time the video premieres on YouTube. So maybe I'll try to do that more often. I thought about maybe doing like a live Year of the Aerostar. That would be kind of fun. Anywho, that was the little metaphor I wanted to draw. So I'm just very, very appreciative. You look, it's always so easy to want more, and I feel like our, not to get too deep here, but like this hustle culture and striving in America and keeping up with the Joneses and capitalism and all that stuff, it's very easy to feel like no matter how lucky or well you're doing in life, it's easy to feel that you're somehow not doing enough or don't have enough. And it's been made abundantly clear to me, and people have been saying this for the longest time. People used to call me, my nickname for a while was, and I guess is, the richest man in the world. I've talked about this on my Janky life. Like, I'm an incredibly fortunate person, and I just think it's good to acknowledge that once in a while. So Janky do thank you to everybody who watches this silly program about a very serious subject, the Ford Aerostar. And so with that, one of the longer intros, why don't we introduce our subject today? So without further ado, here we have a 1996 Ford Aerostar passenger XLT minivan, listed for $3,500 in Jamaica, New York. And a long sort of title on the van itself to match everything else that's long about this particular episode. Okay, so the funny thing with this, let's do about this vehicle. Driven 143,000 miles, not bad. Automatic transmission, exterior color red, and also silver, obviously. Interior color, no description given. Fuel type, gasoline, 15 city, 21 highway for a combined 17, and it has a clean title. The funny thing about this episode is, and this is a, maybe someone in the comments can break this down for me. I think I've pieced together what's going on here, but also listed is a 1996 Ford Aerostar Passenger XLT minivan in Flushing, New York for $3,200. Now, of course, this was listed a week ago, and this was listed 2 weeks ago, right? Obviously the same van, same description. And we'll get into the description in a second. But I like that. And the other, I'm sorry, I'm burying the lead here. One of the nicest photographs I've ever seen on a vehicle listing generally, but specifically of an Aerostar. I mean, this is going to make for a fantastic thumbnail. They've done me such a favor here. And it's funny because last episode I was complaining about people, taking full pictures of the Aerostar. So like there's nothing's cut off in the frame. And now we just have like acres and acres of beautiful night stars here, which is also funny because these are in, Jamaica and or Flushing, New York, which is like the city. So of all the places, you wouldn't expect maybe a bright night sky here. But here we have it. So I like that they've selected two different thumbnails too. So we get a smattering of, nighttime, long exposure Aerostar photography, which I absolutely love. I think this one's got to be just because the van looks a little bit nicer presented here. We have a little missing bumper here. Although I do like the lights on. I think that's cool. Anywho, so that was like very sort of serendipitous and funny too, but just a beautiful shot. So listed a week ago, the price is higher. So this one, I believe, if you go to the main thing, the price has been slashed from $3,500 to $3,200. But it's funny if they slash the price on this one, and then after they slashed the price, made a new listing, but made it at the original price. So that is funny to me. Also, I never get why there's these listings. There's one of a Fiat X19 right now, and there's 2 listings for identical car, different prices, different locations, but the description's the same. Now, I get sort of broadcasting the listing to go into like multiple areas, and I also get making a new listing if you're like updating the price, or, you know, I don't know, like I still don't totally get it though. But then why wouldn't you list the newer listing at $3,200 if that's the price you've already marked down the original listing to go to? And how, you know, so it's like if you buy it in Flushing, it's $3,200, but if you buy it in Jamaica, it's $3,500. Like, does a pickup location like changing the price of the vehicle? I'm sure there's a reasonable explanation for this, but it's just funny to me. Like, why wouldn't you either update the listing or delete that listing, make a new listing? I'll never understand. But anyways, it's gorgeous Aerostar, extended red over silver, kind of a unique two-tone color in terms of two tones, and also 96 getting a little late in the game for the two-tone color schemes. I don't think in 97 you saw many two tones at all. 97 was just a outlier year generally. Anyways, seller's description: clean title, 3 rows seating. 3 rows up seating, three rows seating, it works. Recently drove the van from Florida to New Jersey. Also a road trip from New York to Tennessee, 2,000 miles. And then a bunch of like stars or you know, notice AC needs work. Well, that's good to know. So that's, I mean, they just drove the, well, apparently this means it's a Florida vehicle. I mean, if it's a Florida vehicle, obviously that's a very good thing. So here, now this is funny because this is from 2 weeks ago. Clean title, runs and drives great, 143K miles. Now, no, you'll notice a week later it does not say runs and drives great anymore in the listing. 3 rows seating, 143K miles. Recently drove from Florida to New Jersey. Also road trip from New York to Tennessee, 2,000 miles. AC needs work. So I have the rear right side bumper piece, which is, this, which is nice because that, honestly, that's a big piece. That's an expensive piece right there. If you wanted to replace this whole extended bumper and you didn't have this piece, you're looking at a lot of money. So it sounds like a minor detail. That's actually a pretty big deal. But then we go to this one, and also nothing said about the right rear bumper piece. So that's also concerning. So now the information we've had removed from the previous listing with a lower price to the new listing with a higher price is it no longer says runs and drives great, and we may or may not have the bumper piece anymore. So Aerostar sleuthing has begun here. But anyways, again, I think these are just like little nitpicks that I'm doing, and I'm sure the van's, I'm sure nothing much has changed since these 2 listings happened. Just, I mean, glorious shots of this Aerostar in this like sort of long exposure with the night sky. I noticed we do have one of our hubcaps, definitely not a factory hubcap, definitely an aftermarket hubcap, covering up steel wheels, black steel wheels here. And in this shot, also, this is an even nicer shot. I feel like the lights being on were nice, but the camera really didn't have the power to capture it without, sort of blowing it out. So I like it almost a little bit better with the lights off here. You can see the beautiful bicycle rack on top. You can see the spare tire here in the background. Now, what's fun, this is a really nice one. I don't know if this was in the other listing. Was this in the other listing? This is funny that I'm juggling through 2 listings. I suppose it was. Okay, but it's like a little zoomed in here. Or maybe I'm just zoomed in. Lost all credibility. Okay, that's just me. Fantastic picture. I mean, that would actually be a really good thumbnail because it's a little bit more zoomed in here. That would be a great thumbnail right there. I love these artistic pictures, and I hate to complain. Now, here's a nice one of it just in the day, and you can see a little bit of paint fade. Looks like the hubcaps are on this side. Looks like the driver's side is just, held up a little bit better than the passenger side. The silver over red two-tone paint scheme, or like it's almost like a, you know, it's a two-tone because there's only two tones, but it's like a trifecta here. Sometimes you see just one color over the top. This we have like one color sandwiched between two. And I really, really like that. I think that's a very unique look. I think if you just upgraded the wheels a little bit, maybe got an alloy wheel, because those would be like kind of in the silverish variety, or whatever, just even like a silver brand new steel wheel would look very excellent on this. And then we have the underside, which looks very, very clean. So this is probably, you know, relating to the Florida video. So we have all the, it's funny, it's a funny combination of very necessary and good photos that you don't see often, like an underside photo is so important to see, combined with like very artistic yet not very, you know, substantive pictures in terms of like the condition of the vehicle. Like this is beautiful, breathtaking, but we can't really get a good look at how the paint looks and what's going on with the vehicle. I mean, this shot really does that for you, which is nice that they've included that shot. And then finally, a separate picture of the undercarriage, even more close up, and it looks like maybe one's a front, one's a rear. So the fact that they're providing undercarriage video is very, very nice. However, we don't have any interior photos, and that is quite disappointing. So really would love to see that interior. Now, it looks like they are just based on this one shot. Maybe we can zoom in here and see. What I'm really hoping these seats are is the same ones from the last episode, right? I would love if these were the gray seats with the maroon piping, because that would just go so well with this color scheme on the outside. I think we can see definitely gray seats in here, and it does look like I see a dark color right there. So hopefully that means it is, you know, the red piping, because the gray seats with the red piping would be like just, you know, perfect in terms of you know, just the aesthetics matching directly on the inside and outside. I mean, you see like a silver, you don't see that many silver Aerostars, but a lot of the red Aerostars would have like tan with red piping or gold with red piping, which is cool. But to actually, you know, directly mimic the sort of silver with a red stripe, just like the outside is silver with a red stripe, will be very, very cool. It'd be a very interesting, unique spec, which I don't think you see that many of. Now, I'm sure I've seen a couple of these from time to time, but the extended as well looks, I think, great with this sort of sandwich color in the middle, because it accentuates that long middle line. I like how it sweeps up here. This is, I wouldn't say an awkward line, but it is funny because, you know, it just makes it, naturally it would cut off at the hood line because you have this cowl here, but I wonder how it would look if actually this part, this seems like an almost more natural cutoff, because I think there is like a sheet metal line here, but then you wouldn't get this lovely little accent stripe here under the door, and if you brought it right up to the door, it might look a little funny. I like that there's a little bit of daylight under the windows there, but it creates this interesting line that's not, it's like one of the few painted lines that doesn't really follow a body contour of the Aerostar, but nonetheless a very nice, beautiful sweeping line. So I do enjoy that. You know, I've talked about the listing just as much as I've talked about the van. I mean, it looks like, you know, if it did come from Florida, that's obviously a very good sign. The air conditioning is not working, so you're gonna have to deal with that, but it's obviously you've had a lot of miles put on it recently and it seems like it's done fine. So, you know, with any Aerostars, there will be upkeep. I will do a full sort of rundown on my green 1993 Aerostar that's recently had a bunch of work done to it. Nothing crazy, but a pretty substantial, you know, list of things that needed addressing. So I'll do a full video on that when I get it back, which hopefully is soon. And as you can see, I have my red and, well, this is white, but good enough outfit on to match today. I don't know where my Ford hat went, so I'm wearing a Maui hat. And this does kind of look like a, you know, a night starry sky in Hawaii or something like that, although obviously it's not. So, I wish I could tell you more about the van. I mean, seeing the condition of the interior would be really nice. And it does look like it's a rear-wheel drive, not an all-wheel drive. So that's like, you know, not a ding certainly, but I think like if I'm going to go for the extended, this is me just speaking personally here, I would really want that extended all-wheel drive. But a rear-wheel drive extended too would just be another, you know, fun spec that, you know, the fact that it's still got the 3-liter, I'm a little bit more familiar with that engine. That's kind of cool. Assuming it's a 3-liter, I think they would have specified if it was a 4-liter. Then again, you know, they might not really know that that was an option or that was a different engine in the vehicle. And we don't see any under the hood images as well, so that's too bad. But I really wanted to get this one because it's really cool colorway, and then obviously the beautiful pictures, and of course it's just a nice Aerostar. I think the price is not terrible, for being how clean that it is. If it hasn't sustained any, maintenance needs in all these miles that it's been driven, I don't think the mileage is terrible. I'd really like to know, like, if it's a XL or XLT, does it have power windows? Are we talking crank windows? I want to see more of the interior, but the fact that it's got such a good start just intrigues me. So I wish that I could, see a little bit more of the interior of the vehicle. And I don't think the price is radical. I don't think it's crazy high, especially if it's like totally spotless and has no rust on it. Then that alone is going to bring a big premium. But obviously it's got its, its clear coat fade, and it's got its dings and dents, and we don't know if that piece of the bumper has indeed, is still with the vehicle. We certainly hope so. Looks like your jack point here is a little, been bent or pinched at some point in time. But wow, what a just fantastic. I mean, even if you just took these hubcaps off, I say this every episode, but these aftermarket hubcaps, I think they just look so much more beautiful just with the black steel rims that it came with. I think it just gives it like a sleek look. Black wheels are all the rage now anyways, and I think these steel wheels, they just look very purpose-built. Steel wheels in general are making somewhat of a comeback. On like Ford Raptor, Ford Maverick, and Ford products specifically. I think even the Ineos Grenadier, that's like a very sort of, if you know what that is, then you probably know what I'm talking about, but it's a high-end sort of Land Rover competitor made by this sort of, eccentric billionaire guy. I think that has a steel wheel option. I think even some of the more Land Rovers themselves have like a steel wheel now, or even an alloy wheel that's like made to look like a steel wheel, which is hilarious. So steel wheels are very in vogue, and certainly the look of them, this like very plain, Spartan utilitarian aesthetic is very in vogue. So I just say take those other three hubcaps off and let it ride with these steel wheels. I think it would look great in the black on black with the wheel and tire package next to your silver and red. Obviously black is a great tertiary color for silver and red anyways. So that would be my little, analysis of the wheel coverings. But there you have it. Just a really, really gorgeous 1996. Cool year, too. I don't think we've done a ton of 96s. So the penultimate year of the Ford Aerostar, certainly looking very dapper in this beautiful shade of silver over red over silver. There you have it. I hope you didn't mind my long introduction, but I was like really fired up to shoot after, the premiere today and the recent growth of the channel. Slow but steady. That's how we do it. So I just feeling really full of gratitude and appreciative of everyone who's tuned in and watched and commented on Year of the Aerostar or any Janky F material for that matter. Because it's fun and it warms my heart. And it's just, like I was saying in the chat today, I'm like, the niche doesn't get any more niche than me, especially as I've really honed in on the Ford Aerostar focus. But it's so cool that there's other people out there to share the passion for this vehicle. And it's every Ford Aerostar driver, I feel like, has their own connection to the van, and that's really cool, especially nowadays as they've gotten out of like sort of normal rotation of just a car people buy. Usually now people are either seeking them out or getting them by accident and realizing how much they like them, or they had one, their family had one when they were younger. So it's like chosen family now. Like people are deciding, making it a calculated decision to get into Ford Aerostar, Ford Aerostardom, as it were, and that's really cool because I think it's the Chevy Astro, they got their thing, they got their tribe, and the Ford Aerostar gang is one hashtag that was going around. I don't condone gang violence, but I don't think Ford Aerostar's people are committing any violence anyway, so if it is a gang, who cares? All right, I'm rambling now. really totally lost it. It's full on insane. But we're just laying it all out on the line for you. So there you have it. Just a absolutely incredible 1996 Ford Aerostar passenger XLT minivan, somewhere down in the greater Queens area, sounds like. If you do happen to purchase this vehicle, please let me know, and let me know how it is. But certainly, if you showed up to any car show in this, I think you'd get more attention than you realized. And boy, that silver over red is really, the more I look at it, the more it's really striking me as a great color spec. So that's maybe the highlight for me. Okay, this has been another episode of Year of the Aerostar here on Janky AF. We thank you so much for watching. Extra special Janky do thank you to everybody today. We will have another one coming for you very soon. And until then, Janky do thanky.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.